I really would love to talk about your next chapter. I
Okay.
think, you know, you're not done. That to me, that seems pretty obvious, and I'd love to know what it looks like. And in particular, I'd love to ask you about, you know, there have been some pretty brutal allegations that came out about Raphael Warnock and his divorce from his
Mhm.
ex-wife. Why is it? Why is that such a deal breaker? Like for you, allegations that were deemed, you know, unproven initially and then ultimately accepted, and in his case, it hasn't been a deal breaker. You know, do you think there's a double standard? So that's where I'll leave it. I'm going to take a quick break and come right back. So, Sean, let's flip the page and talk about some of the good things that have happened to you. You bailed out of the Senate race. I'm sure it gave you time to focus on family. And as so often happens after a bad divorce, like a phoenix, the sun comes out and love can be born again. And that is what happened in your case. Uh, Tell us now about Melanie.
Well, she's the most amazing person that I think I've ever met. She's brilliant, she's beautiful, she's politically savvy, she's a fighter, and she's got amazing daughters that have, changed my life just as much as my own children. And as I mentioned, like when I talked to you before, like they're not my daughters, my biological daughters, but boy, I really love them like they are. And we've been focused on blending our families, and they've got an amazing her daughters have an amazing relationship with my kids, and it's a pretty amazing thing to behold watching them grow together. And blending a family is challenging. It really is. But it's also incredibly rewarding. And so, we're focused on picking up the pieces and turning the pages and making sure that we spend, you know, a lot of time together and focus on building a life with one another. And, Melanie, without her, and I mean this, without her, I don't know how I would have made it through this. Without her daughters, I don't know how I would have made it through this because um they're strong and they're resilient. And my own kids, one of the things that I've learned, there's anytime you go through something traumatic like this, there's opportunity in the darkness. And I think maybe in some ways, maybe we took each other for granted in some ways. And sometimes with the people that you love, you take those relationships for granted. Um, Now my family, my children and I, Melanie and her girls, we don't. And we know that every single second on this earth is precious and time is fleeting. And it's the one constant that we're all working against. And I think that, when we're together, we focus on spending just quality time together. And it's awesome. So I got engaged.
All right, now stand
Got
by because
okay,
I'm
okay, sorry.
happy to report we've got that. By the way, I would like to say for the
You do.
record, every woman would like her man to talk about her the way you just talked about Melanie.
Uh,
So that was very sweet. All right, so you proposed to Melanie, and you had the kids there when you did it, and we actually have a little bit of that on tape right
uh,
now.
I just wanted to ask you if you would marry me.
Oh my god, of course.
Aw. Oh, the kids are jumping up and down. Oh, they're screaming and they're jumping up and down. You can't hear it because it's probably too much noise. But everybody's clapping and she's hugging you. You're down on one knee, so you are romantic. So, all right, what's next professionally? You got the personal life now in order. Will there be another run at political office for you?
I knew you were going to ask that. And I asked Melanie, I asked Melanie, I'm like, what am I supposed to say if she asked this? Because, you know, the reality is I'm just trying to focus on being a dad. And, that proposal, by the way, I actually didn't get down on one knee. I had an injury and I had to sit my butt on the steps and I had to have the kids help me. And I had to pretend like I fell because that was the only way Melanie was going to rush and answer me right away. So, but she did. And I surprised her and it was awesome. But the answer is I'm absolutely going to run again. Like I'm not going to play political games. I have to show my children that quitting is not an option. That freedom is worth fighting for. It must be fought for, and ultimately, I'm fighting to make sure that they inherit a country that's rich with opportunity and a country that is free. And I'm doing all of this for them. And so, and when we get back into the fight, into the political fight, and honestly, Megan, I don't know when that's going to be. Um, we're going to do it as a family, and we're going to come back, and we're going to be stronger than we ever were before.
Wow. You, I think that would be to the delight of a lot of Pennsylvania voters. I do want to ask you because you were pretty harsh about Dr. Oz before when he first came in. A lot of Republicans were like, but now, and I only have a short time left. Do you support him? Do you want to see him win on Tuesday?
Everybody in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania needs to get out and vote for Dr. Oz like this country depends on it, because it just might.
Mm, unambiguous endorsement. Any predictions for how that race is going to go? That's one of the ones with a big question mark on it.
Oh, it's going to be super close, but I think, there's been a lot of debate around whether or not John Fetterman should release his medical records. I don't think we're having that debate anymore. Every single time he does an interview or talks publicly, it makes people move to the Oz camp even more.
Okay.
It's going to be a close race, but Oz is going to win.
Sean Parnell, thank you. Thank you for being here and telling your story, and all the best to you and your family.
Thank you, Megan, for having me.
All the best.